The story starts with showing a cloud of radiation has enveloped planet Earth, and scientists discovered that these cosmic particles caused deceased humans to rise again. These beings had only one desire: to consume the flesh of the living. This catastrophic event sparked a great conflict that later became known as the Zombie War. In these dark times, humanity had to fight for survival against the monstrous horde. Day after day passed, and mankind was on the brink of losing the war. However, Dr. Reinhold Geiger, the founder of ZomCon, discovered that destroying a zombie's brain would cause it to die permanently and prevent reanimation. This breakthrough changed everything. Humanity was able to win the war, and ZomCon built a security system of steel fences to surround entire towns, creating a protective perimeter. The same system was implemented in other cities. Despite the walls, danger still lurked. The radiation had made it so that anyone who died would come back as a zombie. To address this, Dr. Geiger developed a domestication collar that suppressed a zombie's hunger for human flesh. The collar made zombies obedient, like pets. However, if the collar's red light went out, the zombie would return to its primal instincts. If that happened, residents were advised to contact ZomCon immediately, or press the nearest emergency button. Help would arrive right away. Thanks to ZomCon, anyone could remain a productive member of society even after death. But for those who didn't want that kind of afterlife and had the means, there was a premium burial option that ensured they would never return as a zombie. Decades after the zombie war ended, a classroom was visited by Miss Mill's special guest, Mr. Johnny Bottoms, a veteran hero of the zombie war who now served as ZomCon's new head of security in the town of Willard. He was also the father of Cindy Bottoms, the youngest student in class. Johnny asked the students how many of them had ever killed a zombie. Besides his daughter, only 2 students raised their hands. Johnny was pleased, saying it was his job to ensure no one in town would ever have to face zombies again. After his speech, Miss Mills allowed the students to ask questions. Timmy asked whether those buried before the radiation cloud could come back to life and try to crawl out of their grave. The question surprised Johnny, and to diffuse the tension, the teacher announced it was time for target practice. Timmy was fairly skilled, but Cindy was far more accurate, even compared to adults. While Timmy watched her in awe, 2 bullies, Stan and Roy, approached and harassed him. They pointed their rifles at Timmy, but Miss Mills arrived just in time and punished them with detention. On his way home, Timmy saw Roy and Stan trapped in the school's announcement board. When he got to his neighborhood, he noticed a new family moving in. Seeing Miss Bottoms, he realized that the newcomers were moving into the former Johnson residence. As he passed through the neighborhood, he greeted Mr. Theophilus, an elderly man sunbathing with his zombie girlfriend. Timmy reached his front yard and left his bike on the lawn, but Miss Henderson scolded him for not putting it away properly. She was the most disliked neighbor for her nosy and strict demeanor. To avoid trouble, Timmy placed his bike in the garage. In the kitchen, his mother Helen was baking pies and apple tarts to welcome the new neighbor. Timmy told her that the new head of ZomCon security would be living nearby. Hearing this, Helen saw an opportunity to fulfill her biggest dream. When her husband, Bill, returned from work, Helen invited him to a special dinner with the new neighbor. Even Timmy had to dress nicely for the occasion. At the Bottoms' house, a zombie butler opened the door and served the main dish. Helen proudly claimed they were no longer the only family in the neighborhood without a zombie. Bill was shocked and dropped his martini. The zombie tried clean up the spill but accidentally dropped the food tray. To avoid arguing in front of the guests, Bill pulled Helen into the kitchen and told her they couldn't afford to own a zombie. His salary barely covered the cost of permanent burial for their family. Helen manipulated him, saying that Johnny had 6 zombies and that when asked she had lied and claimed they had 1 too. While his parents argued, Timmy asked the zombie to retrieve the fallen food. Watching the zombie, Bill felt a strange pleasure in dominating it with a stun stick. He eventually agreed to keep the zombie as long as it stayed chained in the yard. The next morning, the paperboy threw a newspaper onto Theophilus's porch. The old man stepped out with Tammy to retrieve it, then rushed back inside as the zombie milkman aggressively hurled a bottle. Waiting for his dad to play baseball, Timmy watched a ZomCon commercial introducing a zombie heart monitor, which alerted families when a loved one died so they could be quickly revived. Bill came downstairs with a golf club, trying to sneak out of his promise to play. Timmy caught him and begged to come along. Bill refused, saying it wasn't a place for kids. Timmy practiced by himself. Meanwhile, Helen visited the Bottoms under the pretense that they had already met. Her real intention was to buy a zombie. Timmy's ball rolled under a lawnmower. The zombie fetched it, but Timmy was bored playing alone and wandered off. He spotted Stan and Roy hiding in the bushes, shooting at a zombie gardener. When they noticed Timmy, Stan tackled him, and Roy pointed a gun at him. Suddenly, the zombie intervened and threw Roy off. The two boys ran away, and Timmy went home with the zombie. He named him Fido. Timmy threw a ball and asked Fido to fetch it. Unfortunately, the ball landed beneath Mrs. Henderson's bench. When she saw the zombie, she attacked it with her cane. In the scuffle, Fido's collar malfunctioned, and he reverted to his instincts. Timmy heard screams and saw Fido eating Mrs. Henderson's arm. When Fido saw Timmy, his collar reactivated and he returned the ball. Timmy didn't take it, and rushed home to clean Fido up. On the way, Cindy warned Timmy to use a leash, as walking a zombie without supervision was against the rules. A moment later, Johnny arrived to pick up his daughter. He saw Fido covered in blood, but Timmy lied and said he had hurt himself and Fido helped. Cindy distracted her father, saying she was late for ballet even though she hated it. In the garage, Timmy washed Fido and found a scar on his chest. Fido had died of a heart attack. Helen came in and Fido panicked, knocking over a shelf. Helen feared her husband would take the zombie back, but Timmy promised to clean everything before he got home. Later that evening, Johnny and Dee Dee visited the Robinsons to ask about Mrs. Henderson's disappearance. The parents claimed she might have gotten lost. After they left, Timmy asked what would happen if a zombie attacked someone. Bill replied that the whole family would be expelled beyond the town's fence, just like the Johnsons, whose zombie ate a caroler. That night, Mrs. Henderson rose and attacked a dog walker in the park. While everyone slept, Timmy took a shovel and went to the park. He found Mrs. Henderson's severed arm but was ambushed. In self-defense, he struck the zombie's head off, and buried her in the flower bed, since she loved gardening. Afterward he returned home and tried to sleep but heard Fido moaning. He found the zombie's collar broken. Theophilus heard the noise and helped fix the collar with Tammy. Fido tried smoking and Timmy realized he must have been a smoker in life. Once the collar was repaired, Theophilus asked Timmy to keep the event a secret. As usual, the Robinson family attended a funeral that Sunday. Helen even dressed Fido in Bill's old suit. Over time, both Helen and Timmy grew fond of the zombie. Timmy hated funerals because he never knew the people, but his mom insisted they go to support his father. While the family attends the funeral, Miss Mills and her boyfriend are having a picnic in the park. She spots a small dog wandering near the bushes and approaches. Just then, the couple is attacked by Peterson. After the priest delivers his eulogy, the deceased daughter lifts the coffin onto her head and places it into the grave. Delighted, Bill photographs the ceremony as the crowd applauds. Only 10% of the population gets buried, the other 90% become zombies. But Bill proudly says he has already arranged proper funerals for his entire family so they can all be buried when the time comes. However, Timmy says he would rather become a zombie, and Helen supports her son, admitting she doesn't want to be buried either. When the family arrives home, they see Mr. Henderson being taken away by the police. He's accused of performing an illegal burial. In the following days, the city descends into chaos as zombies start attacking again. The police try to contain the outbreak but end up getting eaten themselves. Outside their house, Timmy and Fido are washing the car. Helen brings her son a glass of juice, and upon noticing Fido nearby, she decides to bring him a drink as well. As she approaches, Fido freezes, staring at her. Timmy then sprays him with the hose and splashes his mother too. The three of them begin to laugh and play together. Just then, Bill arrives and informs them he's heading out to practice golf. Seeing Fido drinking juice, Bill insists zombies can't drink, but Helen corrects him, explaining that zombies can eat and drink like anyone else. They just don't need to in order to survive. A few minutes later, Miss Bottom's assistant, Floyd, arrives to pick Bill up. Helen asks her husband to stay with the family because she has something important to tell him. Bill brushes her off and leaves. Meanwhile, the search for Mrs. Henderson continues. A policeman informs Miss Bottoms that her walker has been found and 2 boys were arrested for hiding in the bushes and shooting at wild zombies. When questioned, Roy and Stan claim that Timmy's zombie tried to attack them and then went after Mrs. Henderson. Johnny Bottoms doesn't believe their story and suspects the boys might have killed Mrs. Henderson and hid her body. But lacking evidence, he's forced to let them go. Later that day, Timmy takes Fido for a hike in the mountain. They enjoy their time until Roy and Stan show up and point their guns at them. They tie both Timmy and Fido to a tree and remove Fido's control collar, hoping to provoke an attack. Roy plans to shoot Fido before he harms Timmy so the zombie will be blamed for the entire outbreak, and the Robinson family will be exiled to the wilderness. But when Stan unleashes the zombie, Roy panics and accidentally shoots Fido. The bullet passes through the zombie and hits Stan, killing him. Roy flees to a nearby cabin, but Fido chases and devours him. Moments later, Fido returns to Timmy, who fears he's the next victim. To his surprise, the zombie bends down and tries to untie him. Timmy realizes Fido means no harm but can't undo the ropes. He then asks Fido to clean himself up and go get help. Before leaving, Fido locks the now dead Roy's body inside the cabin to prevent it from harming Timmy if it reanimates. Fido's next mission is to fetch Helen. As she's returning home, she runs into her zombie neighbor. Suddenly, Theophilus appears with a gun and tries to kill the creature, but his shots miss. Cindy steps in and lands a clean headshot, saving them. When Helen returns home, she finds Fido waiting and realizes Timmy is in danger. Fido takes her to the location. On the way, she notices his collar isn't functioning but soon understands that he poses no threat. Meanwhile, Roy, now a zombie, emerges from the cabin and lunges toward Timmy. At the last second, Helen arrives and runs him over. Stan, reanimated as a zombie, also tries to attack, but Fido grabs and throws him aside. To finish the job, Helen shoots and kills the zombie. Relieved, she embraces her son and Fido. After untying Timmy, Helen places the boys' bodies in the cabin, douses it with fuel, and sets it ablaze. Back home, the family returns to normal life. While gardening the next day, Fido finds Mrs. Henderson's corpse. The Robinsons then visit the Bottoms' house. While Timmy and Cindy play, Dee Dee asks Helen if Bill is excited about the new baby. Helen reveals that Bill hasn't even noticed her pregnancy. Johnny shows Bill his war room and hints that Fido might have been behind Mrs. Henderson's death, and that Timmy is covering for him. Later at home, Bill sends Timmy to his room and tries to talk to Helen about Johnny's suspicion. Helen, uninterested, invites him to dance, but Bill refuses, so she asks Fido instead. A few minutes later, Bill angrily uses Fido's remote collar to electrocute him and announces he's going to bed. Before sleeping, Helen locks Fido in the garden and apologizes for her husband's behavior. She whispers that she wishes she had met Fido before he died. That night, Johnny continues investigating and finds Timmy's baseball near the crime scene. He becomes convinced Timmy was involved in Mrs. Henderson's death. The next morning, Timmy wakes up and sees Fido is gone. He rushes to Helen, who tells him that the zombie was taken by ZomCon.
Johnny arrives and tells Timmy he could have had the entire family banished, but chose not to because Bill and Helen promised to prevent further incident. While driving Timmy to school, Bill gives his son a gun, instructing him to use it only for self-defense. That night, Helen is ready to reveal her pregnancy to Bill. His only response is concern about affording another burial on his salary. The next morning, a rock is thrown through Timmy's window with a note from Cindy. Fido is alive. She explains she overheard her father say Fido was sent to work at the factory. Timmy seeks Theopolis' help, who immediately agrees and drives him to ZombCon. Pretending they're there to adjust the zombie's collar, they are allowed inside. Helen later finds Cindy's note and alerts Bill. Inside the return department, Theopolis causes a distraction by tearing off another zombie's collar. The chaos allows Timmy to sneak into the factory. Johnny sees Timmy on security cameras and heads there. Timmy finds Fido chained up. As Johnny tries to stop him, Fido uses a saw to free himself. Meanwhile, Helen and Bill arrive, but when denied entry, Helen storms in. Bill grabs a gun and follows. Bill encounters Fido, and together they search for Timmy. Johnny traps Timmy outside the fence with the zombies. Bill and Fido arrive, demanding Johnny open the gate, but he pulls a gun on them. Bill tackles him, and during the struggle, Timmy unlocks the gate and returns to the safe zone. Johnny shoots Bill in the chest, killing him. Timmy deactivates Fido's collar, letting him attack and kill Johnny. Zombies flood in, and Helen arrives just in time to save Timmy, shooting the undead and escaping with the help of Theopolis, who picks them up in his car. The ZombCon facility is overwhelmed, and most of its personnel are wiped out. That Sunday, Timmy and Helen attend Bill's funeral. Honoring his wishes, Helen buries only his head. Weeks later, Helen gives birth, and Dee Dee visits with her family. Timmy is surprised to see Johnny now serves as her daughter's pet zombie. Cindy says her father is much nicer that way. Fido is now fully part of the Robinson family, bonding well with the baby. Although Helen has lost her husband, she feels happy, knowing she can always rely on her loyal zombie butler.